You've been growing these plants for 60 days. You watered them every morning. You adjusted the grow lights. You thinned the weak ones and kept the strong ones. You brought them back from the edge when they got leggy, and you repotted them when the roots ran out of room. And in a few days, with the last frost behind you, and the soil finally warm, you're going to carry them outside and put them in the ground. By Monday, half of them will look like they're dying. The leaves will go pale. Some will curl. A few will just collapse. Stems soft, color gone. You'll check the soil and it'll be fine. You'll check for insects and find nothing. The weather was not extreme. You did everything right. Except for one thing, you moved them too fast. This is transplant shock. And it does not happen because your plants are weak. It happens because they were grown in a controlled environment and then placed into a completely different one without any transition. The sun outside is not the same as a grow light. The wind outside is not the same as still indoor air. The temperature swings between morning and afternoon are not something a seedling raised at 68 degrees has ever experienced. Here is what is actually happening inside the plant when you move it too fast. Indoors, your seedling built its entire structure around the conditions it knew. The leaf surface is thin because it never needed to protect itself from intense sun. The stem is flexible because it never had to brace against wind. The root system is optimized for a contained pot with consistent moisture, not open ground that dries unevenly and requires roots to go searching. When you put that plant outside without transition, the sun hits the thin leaf surface and burns the cells before the plant can produce the protective compounds that block that damage. The wind pulls water out of the leaves faster than the roots can deliver it, and the plant responds by closing its pores and shutting down photosynthesis to conserve moisture. Growth stops. In some cases, it reverses. A plant in transplant shock is not dying, it is in survival mode. But a plant spending 2 weeks in survival mode instead of growing is 2 weeks behind on your season. That lost time is the real cost. Not the wilting, which usually recovers, the stalled growth that follows. And here's the part that makes transplant shock particularly frustrating. The plant you put in the ground on Saturday looked healthy, it had good color, the roots were filling the pot. You did not see anything wrong because there was nothing wrong yet. The problem was not visible, it was structural. You had a plant built for one environment and you placed it in a completely different one in a single afternoon. Most gardeners assume their seedlings failed because of something they did wrong during the 60 days of indoor growing. Bad soil, not enough light, too much water. They go back and adjust next year and the same thing happens again because the growing was never the problem. The transition was. Plants adapt, but they need time to do it. The system that gives your plant seedlings that time is called hardening off. Most gardeners know the term, but most gardeners do not follow a real process. They bring the plants out for a few hours one day and forget the next day. Then they plant everything on a Saturday because the weather looks good. That is not a system. That is hoping for the best. This video is the actual 7-day process, step by step, so your seedlings make the transition without setback. Before you start, there are 2 things to understand. First, the goal of hardening off is not just sun exposure. It is full environmental adaptation involving sun intensity, wind movement, and temperature variation. It also includes the drying effect of outdoor air on soil and leaves. Each of these factors stresses the plant differently, and each one needs to be introduced gradually. Second, your seedlings are more fragile than they look. A tomato plant with 4 healthy leaves has been living under 16 hours of filtered indoor light. Direct midday sun delivers about 10 times the intensity of a standard grow light. Putting that plant in full sun for an afternoon is not a small adjustment. It's a shock. Day 1 requires you to find a spot that gets indirect light. Look under a tree, on a north-facing porch, or on the shaded side of a building. Place your seedlings outside for 2 hours in the morning, then bring them back in. That is the entire first day of the process. The goal is not light, it's simply introducing outdoor air and outdoor temperature to plants. These are plants that have never experienced either. 2 hours feels like nothing to us, but for a plant that has spent its whole life indoors, it's enough. Day 2 uses the same location and the same indirect light. You will extend the time to 4 hours. Watch the soil closely because outdoor air dries containers faster than indoor air. Your seedlings may need water more frequently during this week than they did inside. Day 3 involves moving to a spot with morning sun and afternoon shade. This gives your plants their first experience with direct sunlight during the gentler morning hours. It then shelters them from the intensity of the afternoon. Leave them out for 4 to 5 hours. Day 4 stays in the same morning sun location, but you will extend to 6 hours. By this point, you are looking for any signs of stress on the plant. Bleached or white patches on leaves indicate sun scald, which means you moved to direct light too quickly. If you see that, pull back to indirect light for another day before continuing. Day 5 involves moving to your final planting location, or a spot with similar sun exposure. Leave them out for the full morning and into the early afternoon for roughly 6 to 8 hours. Bring them in before the hottest part of the day if temperatures are running above 85 degrees. By day 5, most plants are visibly different from where they started. The stems are slightly thicker, and the leaves have deepened in color. That is the plant responding to real outdoor conditions and beginning to build the structure it needs. Day 6 requires you to leave them outside all day long. Bring them in only if temperatures are expected to drop below 50 degrees overnight. You should also bring them in if strong storms are forecast for your area. This is the first full day of outdoor exposure, and most plants handle it well if the previous days were followed. Day 7 is the final transition for your seedlings. Leave them outside overnight if nighttime temperatures are staying above 50 degrees. If nights are still cool, bring them in one more time. Either way, by the end of day 7, your seedlings have experienced the full range of outdoor conditions. They are finally ready to go into the ground. There are 3 mistakes that cause hardening off to fail, even when gardeners follow a process. The first mistake is skipping days because life gets busy. You might miss a day, so you double up the next day to make up for it. The plant does not catch up the way you did. Each day of the process builds on the one before it. Skipping from day 2 to day 4 puts your plant in conditions it has not been prepared for. If you miss a day, repeat the previous day rather than jumping ahead. The second mistake is ignoring the effect of wind. Most gardeners focus entirely on sunlight when hardening off, but wind is equally stressful for young plants. Wind pulls moisture from leaves faster than roots can replace it. It also physically stresses stems that have only ever grown in still air. If your area is forecast to have strong wind during the first few days, choose a sheltered spot. Do this even if the light conditions are right. The third mistake is transplanting immediately after hardening off. Your plants have just spent a week adjusting to outdoor conditions. Transplanting into the ground adds another layer of stress involving root disturbance and new soil. Give them 1 or 2 additional days in their containers at the planting site before you put them in the ground. Water them well on the morning of the transplant. Transplant in the evening or on a cloudy day so they are not dealing with full sun. This helps them manage the root disturbance more effectively. There is one more thing worth knowing about this process. Hardening off does not work backward. Once a plant has been fully hardened, bringing it back inside for a week means starting over. If a late frost forces you to shelter them indoors for several days, plan to give them a few transition days outside again. The window for hardening off in most of the United States is April through mid-May. This depends entirely on your last frost date. That window is open right now for many of you. If your seedlings are sitting under grow lights and your planting date is 2 weeks away, start this week. 60 days of careful growing comes down to this single transition. The 7 days you spend on it determine whether that work pays off. Otherwise, you may be buying transplants from a garden center in May and starting over. The gardeners who get consistent results from seed every year are not necessarily better at germination. They are simply better at this part of the process. This is the part most people skip because it feels slow and unnecessary. 7 days of moving plants in and out is not dramatic, but it is the difference between a plant that hits the ground ready to grow and one that spends 2 weeks recovering. Do it once, do it right, and your seedlings will go into the ground stronger than anything you could have bought. If you need soil, fertilizer, or even raised beds to get started, I put together an Amazon store with everything I use and recommend. The link is below in the video description. And if you enjoy this one, YouTube thinks you should watch this video of mine next. I'll see you over there.